You're good to go.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning. Okay, today is Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024. Board minutes for July 16th, 2024.
I move to approve the board minute.
I will, my better. Scott is not here today. He is out fighting fires, so it'll just be Chuck and myself. So I will second that motion. Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried and passed. So the next item on the agenda is correspondence, and we received an email from the DOA, and it says, "Dear local government officials, this email is to notify you that the Phillipsburg Cemetery District Number 1 has been sent the attached final demand letter. Please encourage them to remit their past due balance to the local government services prior to August 15th, 2024. Failure to do so could result in further collection efforts and additional fees."
So what's the problem?
Yeah, we'll have to get them on the agenda, I think, have them come in and say why they're not due diligence with their reports.
I can do that.
Okay, the next item is it's a letter, a news report coming from the Montana Department of Transportation. And it is work wrapping up on racetrack bridge removal project. And this is in Deer Lodge, Montana, and it just looks like this comes out. And doesn't pertain to Granite County. It is informational. And that's it for correspondence this morning. I do believe.
Yeah.
And we are, I think, go right into public comment on matters within the commissioner's jurisdiction. We are a few minutes early, but for anyone who joins later or comes into the office, we will repeat that we are open for public comment. So is there any public comment on matters within the commissioner's jurisdiction?
Elena.
Go ahead, Elena.
Good morning. Thank you. I'm watching this, of course, remotely. And it's kind of interesting. I wonder if you see the screen. I notice it looks different. And I notice it's AI companion. And so how does that affect what we're seeing in the recording? It's on the bottom.
I think I don't know. Our Zoom changed the way it looked. I want to say last week, where it all of a sudden is Zoom Workplace. But it has been functioning the same, and we didn't get any other announcement things from Zoom that I received. So I am not totally certain.
Yeah,
Or-
because I noticed that this is the first time it looks like this, the appearance. If you look at the view and that's on top, and if you go to gallery, that'll change the view, Blanche, and then you can see um, basically who's attending. You can see your picture and who's attending on Zoom.
And I have, on mine, I've got clicked on gallery, so,
Mhm.
yeah, I can see,
Okay,
but.
so you'll stay on the bottom where it says left to right audio, and then you go over for participants, and then after share, it says AI companion.
Right. Oh, yours doesn't have it.
And mine doesn't have it.
Yeah, it's not on yours. It's on the screen
Well,
though.
there might be more.
Yours might need to update too, but
See.
it's right here on the
Oh,
screen.
yeah, I don't have that on my screen. I don't know who the AI companion would be.
Yeah, well, I'll have to play around with it and
Yeah.
kind of see what we can
Thank
do
you,
with our
Lana.
Zoom update.
Yeah, AI is artificial intelligence, and you gotta be careful with that. I like the way it says ask meeting questions, so if I click on that, I can ask a meeting question. I'm not gonna experiment with it. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Did you say that, Billy, that you were helping Scott with his iPad or with his?
So he was gonna take his iPad on fire. He was having a hard time. I don't know, there was something between his phone and my phone. I wasn't able to receive his text messages. But he had gotten a hold of Jackie on Sunday and she got a hold of me where he was getting the iPad ready to go with him and taking it. So I sent him all the meeting information so he can fully access it and use the iPad, but I don't know if he'll be doing that or calling in. It's kind of a party to party to party.
We've got 5 minutes left. If anybody wants to make a public comment on matters within commissioner's jurisdiction.
Well, I guess they decided not to take the water out of Georgetown. You heard anything?
Yeah, Scott called me and told me that, and then, I got a text from Scott, from the sheriff, saying that they decided not to do it. So,
I wonder if we should put it on the agenda just to see what everybody thinks.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
Lance? It's been a while. Chuck, I'm Bill Lloyd with Great West.
Yeah,
Very good to see you.
you.
Hi Lance, how are you?
good, how are you?
Good, good. A little bit early today.
But that's okay. We're in public comment, so if you have public comment, feel free.
Just came to talk bridges this morning, so. MDT's hassling you guys, so now they're hassling us to hassle you. So I figured we just
Yeah.
work through it and figure out what you guys wanted to do. So,
Perfect.
is Mr. Adler in today?
No, he's fighting fires.
Oh, unfortunately, there's getting to be quite
Yeah.
a few of those to fight.
Mhm. There's a big one out by you guys.
Yeah, they're getting it, it's almost fully contained.
Is
now.
it? Okay.
Yeah, that horse gulch, I think they call it, just out there east of town, on the
Yeah.
other side of Cane Ferry Lake, and. Got up to 15,000 acres, and then I think they got lucky, I think the wind kind of turned it back on itself.
Okay. That's
But
good.
yeah, and that was a man-caused one.
Oh,
They
really?
don't know if it was fireworks or a campfire,
Oh,
but yeah, it blew up
That's
quick, but
disappointing.
no structures lost, so. It's about as good as you can hope for.
oh, that's good. That's very good.
Did you want to discuss that, thing about the lake and get it on the agenda as long as we're in public comment? I think we need to get it on. the
If
agenda.
you want to, I mean, I don't care one way or the other, but you know, some people might be a little concerned if they are gonna use that as a water source in the future and shut down the lake.
So,
Unless they figure it's too shallow, I don't,
so what happened was, is they, who was it, the sheriff notified you or
yeah, definitely, don't, you know.
that they were gonna pull water out of the lake with an airplane?
You know, with those
For fire.
scooper
Mhm.
planes.
And so you were kind of hesitant, didn't know what, we don't know.
Well, I don't think we could have stopped them, but,
Yeah.
you know, I just suggested that the lake is pretty shallow. And there's full of weeds. I don't know if that affect anything, because this is a new technology for the United States. Anyway, so,
So.
anyway, they're
Okay.
taking it out of Basin Creek Reservoir, out of Butte. They took it out, not now, but it'll be.
So I guess this would be a future
Okay.
thing. To get more information
Okay.
to discuss whether or not
Whether or not it's suitable
it's suitable, yeah.
and what the people think about the possibility, because you get to thinking about it, I mean, that could be the water source for a radius of like 100 miles.
Was there an agency that I should contact for
Forest
that?
Service.
The Forest Service?
So it was the Forest Service that initiated.
Or the state too.
Okay. I'll
Yeah,
talk
just-
to
just for
Cameron and the
more
DNRC.
information.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Hey, it is 9:20. It is time for the weekly report with Road and Bridge Superintendent Paul Alt. And Paul is not with us today. He had a personal matter, and I don't know if you had anything on the road. If you call him, said anything to you. So I guess probably it's business as usual from, we didn't get any report, so I'm assuming there isn't anything other than business as usual going on with the road. I don't know, you think it's okay to start with Bill, if we can go a little early because Paul isn't here. Or should we wait until 9:30?
Sure.
We'll give it.
I'm not in any rush, so I can wait till 9:30 if that suits you fine, whatever works for you. So that's
think
the
you're
kind of
gonna be-
situation here in Granite, you guys getting away without any big ones so far. That's fantastic. So my daughter's over in Missoula and she says it's just smoky over there. They got that, so a new one started
Yes.
north of town, just across the interstate. And then they got that Miller Peak one and I don't know, it's pretty scary for the middle of July.
Yeah, it is.
They pretty much got that one across the highway.
Did they get that one out?
Yeah.
I figured they jump on that one pretty
They
quick.
they're doing a good job on the man cause fires. I wanna see what they're gonna do on the lightning strike. Whether they say it's natural,
Hmm,
Yeah.
but they're doing a pretty good job. Whether it's Miller Creek, I think they could have done one more.
What's the status of the Miller Creek? Are they getting containment on?
Oh, we
Miller Peak, I guess, are they getting containment on
No,
that?
I just talked, Scott's kind of on that one. He said it's gonna go to the river all the way across.
Okay. Good morning, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Good
Morning.
morning, how are you?
How's it going?
how's it going?
Good, nice. Good. Public comment, everybody working on,
Well, we are actually waiting until 9:30 for Bill because Paul isn't here today, so we don't
Oh,
have
okay.
a report for the road.
okay,
And we're just giving it a few minutes and we'll start in a few minutes.
all right, sounds good.
Yep, whenever
on the
you're
hot seat
ready,
soon.
but I'm fine waiting until 9:30.
Did, you talked to him yet about the asbestos
Nope,
testing?
I'm gonna leave that all to you because it confuses me. That whole roof project confuses
Haven't-
me.
Prior to starting anything with the roof,
They
you
do
have
have this.
you have to have the asbestos testing. The, Dave Kaufman had a, talked to a guy, just as a proposal to see if you guys wanted to do it.
This is
There
what
it
it
is.
costs for the asbestos.
That's a one for $15,000.
This one's three.
That one's, beyond next week, Dave Kaufman being a consultant, which is, yeah,
So expensive.
Didn't they test it before when they redid the roof?
just the areas that we're gonna. The elevator would be in,
No, back when they redid the,
Oh, yeah, when
a
they
few
did it the
years
first
ago, they
time.
redid the
no, it
roof.
was just just an overlayment, yeah, I didn't do it.
So how many years ago has it been since they put that new roof on?
2019.
Was it in 2019? You didn't inspect for asbestos.
That's why I need a consultant, I think.
So you have to. I guess we don't have a paper trail whether or not to put asbestos up there 100 years ago.
No. Doubtful there is,
Yeah,
but it's
that's
still,
what I would say,
still required,
doubtful.
yeah, doubtful.
So they're gonna rip all that off? All the,
Well, that's the recommendation.
So what are you saying? We have to do this?
Yeah, you could, but
Okay,
wanna
so.
wait,
okay,
have it on the agenda next week and talk
Yeah.
about it, yeah,
Okay,
okay.
okay, I think we can go ahead and start with our next. Agenda item, and that is with Great West President Bill Lloyd. To discuss bridge priorities in Granite County. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning. Thanks for having me today. So. Maybe a little background, I'll hand some stuff out here that kind of. Summarizes what we got going on. One of them is the last time that we went through and prioritized the county's bridges. That's the top one there.
Okay.
The bottom one is a spreadsheet that's being put together by MDT. Because they're wanting the county to. Reprioritize your off-system bridge projects, so that as funding comes available, they know which ones are. The top priority to Granite County, so. And they've reached out, I think, a couple times, but now they started reaching out to us, and I just said, you know what? I've been looking for a good reason to come over and visit with you guys, so I'll just go talk to them and kind of get a feel for what your thoughts are, but. They've been going through, do you mind if I sit up here? They've been going through and evaluating all of the off-system bridges, pretty much any bridge that's over 20 feet long throughout the state, trying to get a feel for what the needs are out there. And as you might imagine, they're extensive. There's a lot more need for bridge replacement than there is funding. They've been pursuing RAISE grants, which are part of this big infrastructure funding bill that came about in 2020 as part of COVID. And bipartisan infrastructure laws, what everybody calls it. They've been pursuing that kind of money to maybe replace, bundle them together and replace them. But and then they have the quick fix program that they've probably reached out to you folks about, or possibly Paul, where if there's some bridge problems in Granite County and it can be easily remedied, maybe it's a guardrail problem, a redecking problem, something like that. They've got a pot of money that they're able to distribute to the counties to assist with that. That's taken care of a lot of the off-system bridge, the highest priority ones have kind of dropped lower on the list because of that quick fix program. So now they're trying to go through and get a list of the top 2 or 3 off-system bridge priorities for all 56 counties. So that as money comes available, they have a good list and know where to apply it next. So good news, bad news, I guess, for Granite County. The good news is all of your bridges are in pretty good shape. The bad news is that means you're way down the list for MDT. You're not going to get an off-system bridge project from them for a long time because your bridges are in good shape. But they still want to know what your priorities are. And so the one without color on it is a summary of the last time that Great West came in and inspected Granite County's bridges. We'll inspect bridges that are less than 20 feet and bridges that MDT doesn't know about or doesn't get to. Bridges over 20 feet are supposedly on MDT's 2-year cycle for inspection, but some of them just get missed. Some of them they're just not aware of. So we try and catch everything and then take MDT's information, our information, and prioritize what the county has. As you can see, the top bridge, the last time we came through was the Bra Bridge, but did I say that right? Is it Bra or is it Bra? I'm not sure how you pronounce
Bra.
that. Bra, okay. But my understanding is that serves one landowner, and it's never been a high priority for the county to do anything with that because it's not really in the public interest where there's really one beneficial party. That's been a priority for a long time, but we've never really addressed it. So the sheet that's got the full color, that is the spreadsheet that MDT is using. And we went through, and if you look right where the orange starts on the top heading, says county priority. We took the liberty of basically going through and taking the bridge rating and prioritizing making the priorities based upon the condition of the bridge. So if you look down third from the bottom, it says Wahlberg Ranch Lane over Rock Creek. That would be your number one bridge that's on the MDT system because it's got the lowest structural rating. It does not mean by any stretch of the imagination that that is your number one priority. That's what we're here to talk
I see
about
that.
today.
Okay.
We just put the priorities on there because those are the ones that are in the worst condition. So, but again, you really don't have one that's in bad condition. So I guess I just wanted to have a discussion. So maybe I could respond to MDT on the county's behalf, and I would definitely keep you in the loop on that communication of what are your top 2 or 3 bridges. If money comes available and you'd like to see some bridge replacements or improvements done, what are the top 2 or 3 bridges that you would prefer to see on MDT's list? And if we don't get to it today, that's fine. I just wanted to at least start the conversation.
Do you have
But
an idea, Chuck?
I have an idea, we should talk to Paul about this, for sure. Wahlberg Ranch Lane, I don't know where that's at.
I just know it's over Rock Creek. I'm not sure exactly where it's located.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly.
Oh, wait,
One thing that
Anytime
stands
now.
out is the Main Street Bridge on the Clark Fork.
Yeah,
It says 4, but we just remember we did some work on that one.
we did the deck, but I think
Oh, it's talking about
MDT's,
the,
we resurfaced the deck because it was all full of potholes, it's fallen off. And the deck's holding up great. I just don't think MDT really likes the condition of the rest of the
oh,
bridge.
okay.
And that's an MDT inspection.
Okay,
And the way that it works here is, if MDT inspects it. And we inspect it and we disagree with them, we have to request that MDT go re-inspect it and then we try to negotiate with them. But MDT. I guess for lack of better terminology, their inspection trumps our inspection.
okay. Yeah, I think I remember Jeremiah saying there's get another 20 years out of that bridge, so I
Well,
think
it
you
wouldn't
guys did.
surprise me.
Oh, okay, all right, okay, so still in decent enough shape to.
Yeah, it's not in great shape. It's an old
Yeah.
bridge. It's probably got some scour on the abutments. It's probably got some spalling on the concrete substructure. But it's not weight limited. It's not posted. It's gonna be fine for a while. At some point in time, that's gonna be a prime MDT off-system bridge project, but there are far greater needs throughout the state than that one. But maybe that is one you wanna list as your number one priority. So that when the time comes, it's and it should funding come available and the MDT gets that far down the list, that's the one you focus on. I mean, that's a high volume structure.
See that being a lot of, I mean, that's expensive,
Mhm.
most
Very
expensive one
expensive.
probably
Yeah.
on there. But
So I think what we want to do is have Paul look at this. Then he could run what, at least 3?
3 would be best, even
Okay.
if he says, okay, these 2 are important, I don't care about the rest. We can take 2, but the more you have on there, I mean, they don't want more than 3, but we should give them 3.
Okay,
And then prioritizing, this is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3. We'll change around this spreadsheet.
okay,
And then we'll send it back to MDT and we will CC the
okay.
county on it, so you know exactly what it is. And then as time goes on, if Paul wants to have another discussion, I'm happy to. I mean, I can come back over if necessary, we can get on the phone, whatever works for you. And have a further discussion, or Paul can just call me if he has any questions. I have a feeling Paul's gonna look at this list and he's gonna go 1, 2, 3. Is probably what's gonna happen
So,
with your concurrence.
okay, so what we can do then is have Billy get a hold of him and send him this.
I can get these to you electronically too.
And then have him get it back to you and you can get it to Bill.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or if Paul doesn't want to do this electronically, I mean, I can leave these extra
He can-
copies too, so,
He
Yeah.
can, we really can get it done. He
Okay.
can Just
Yeah.
look at them and
Yeah.
give us the top three that
Yep.
he has to.
yep.
Yeah, we have.
And
to
it's just in the county's best interest to do that, because we don't know how this funding is gonna come together. These big raise grants they're applying for, they're asking for $80 to $100 million at a time, and they haven't been successful yet, but if they ever are, then they're gonna be able to go out and replace 40 or 50 structures around the state. Where your bridges are just not in that poor of condition, I don't know that you'd even have one in the top 50, but if you did, you'd want to make sure that MDT wants to know which one you want replaced first.
So these raised grants, federal,
Yep. It's part of the bipartisan infrastructure law that was passed in 2020. It's got a different name. Everybody calls it the BIL.
when does it run out?
2026, I think, maybe the end of 25. And, you know, they wrapped, it was called the IIJA, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. And that's a mouthful, so then they boiled it down, called it the bipartisan infrastructure law, since it was a bipartisan. It was passed and with bipartisan support. And I think that was like a 5-year bill passed in 20, so I think maybe the fiscal year 20. The end of fiscal year 25, so maybe September of 25 it would end.
The one that gave money for dams, but it went to Flint Creek Hydro. Instead from the.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, that was frustrating, but
That's where that money came.
yeah, that was the infrastructure bill.
So, yeah, there's.
Why don't we protest it?
Well, it was just the way they wrote the bill, I mean. When we went to our senators, and
Yeah,
they wanted that bill put the money for the
there's
turbines and the other.
some stuff that
yeah.
can get earmarked like that, and maybe
Yeah.
that's where it came from, you know. It's part of that bipartisan infrastructure law, a large part of the funding for Phillipsburg's wastewater lagoon project out here. So it's getting dispersed everywhere, and some instances are probably pretty good expenditures, some maybe are a little more suspect.
I think there's still some other monies for maintenance, but it's lesser amount.
Yeah. Yeah,
So do we need a motion on this? Or
Uh,
is this just? making
Yeah, I
this
think just
informational?
informationally have it, when you do your top three, you can do that by motion.
Okay,
And you have
okay.
that on the agenda again.
okay. So I owe Julianne an email with these electronically.
You know
That
what I
would be
can
easy.
actually do? I can scan them in, so I'll have them
Oh, okay.
electronically and I can just shoot an
Oh,
email
yeah. that's
to
good.
Paul. And I'm actually probably gonna just text them to him too, because that's usually how I get a response the quickest. And I will put hard copies in his mailbox. So
Perfect.
Or top three, or you want them all
we're
ranked?
good.
Just tell.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all that MDT is looking for, and then once they start paring their list down, then maybe 2 to 5 years from now, they're gonna come back out and they're gonna ask if anything has changed and if you want to change your prioritization.
Okay.
It's kind of what they do as bridges get knocked off the list. I would definitely look at bridges that are the most expensive, the most complex to build. And then, of course, the ones that are in the poorest condition as well.
So are they paying the whole bill then, or we have matching funds?
MDT, they cover the cost. It's entirely paid for by MDT.
Just getting it approved is the.
It's, you're competing against all the other counties out there, and Granite County has pretty good bridges. That's the good news. I mean, the ones that were in poor shape, you've replaced over the last 15, 20 years. There's some that are still in, you know, they could use some work, but they're smaller ones. I mean, you got the one on Upper Willow Creek Road that's 8 feet long. I mean, when you decide to replace that, you're gonna put a culvert in there. So there's some of these that. you know,
Yeah, same with the Bergman Slough. We talked
Yeah.
about a culvert there.
Yeah,
potentially.
that one's 26 feet long. There's a good chance you may be able to get a culvert to work in there. It's a permitting issue.
The other one that stands out is Stony. I thought commission did the redeck that, or am I recalling that wrong?
We were talking about it.
Oh, okay, just. All talking, no act, no money.
So I don't have a whole lot more unless there was more questions, but, and even that one at Stony. It's got a sufficiency rating of 67, which is pretty good, really. And I'm sure that the reason it's that low is probably because the deck's really
Yeah, yeah.
Cause that bridge was, I think it was donated, given to the county from a mine reclamation type project. It is
What bridge is that?
beefy. It's the one on Rock Creek Road over Stony Creek.
Oh,
I think we're trying to get rack
Campground.
money, weren't we?
Yeah, because it
to get
accesses
the
the
rack.
Forest Service campground,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Look,
Yeah.
or is it the one that is,
Or
It's
is it
not in
fur-
the court campground, but.
It's
yeah,
further
it's right below it,
Okay.
right on
Oh,
Rock
right.
Creek Road, right by the
Yeah.
campground.
Yeah. But it's still a good project for rack.
It is a good project.
To
for rack.
get money to redeck a bridge is a perfect rack project.
Yeah.
It's not super expensive. So,
I think they're gonna try it again once
Yeah.
it's rack going now.
So I think they ran into some snags with RAC this year, I think, kind of on the more national level, kind of
Oh.
putting their committee together and kind of have. It's hit some delays, but when it comes back on,
you want an extra copy here for Scott?
Sure.
He's gonna come back
Yeah.
in, and then I got.
you got extras, we'll take
You
it,
want
yeah.
these for Paul, or
Sure.
am I just inundating you with?
No,
paper
I like
at
it,
this
take
point?
'em.
okay, so I, will put it out to public comment and we have Elena. Go ahead, Elena.
Thank you. Just some clarification. I'm looking at the NDT list. And they range, if I understood this correctly, the top, the most in need, going to the bottom, the least one in need. Is that correct?
Does
I
she have
think,
this?
no, she doesn't have that one. It is the list MDT. It's.
Okay.
Oh, okay, I don't have that in front of me.
I think she's fine with this one.
Oh, that one?
Yeah.
Let me
That's the
see.
county bridge one.
Okay, 1 second. Let's clarify your question again, please, Elena. We got too many
The
people.
one that was online that I'm looking at is Granite County MDT District 1, and
Okay,
that has a list of them.
okay, so what? Well, Bill, why don't you go ahead and answer this question, because this is the one that you
Sure.
took and you prioritized, you took
Yep.
the liberty to
Yep,
prioritize.
so the one that would be on the top of the list that you're looking at, I believe, is Upper Rock Creek Road over Stony Creek. And then it goes on down, and those are just organized in order of increasing bridge ID number. So if you look on the far left, top one is 3102, next one's 3103, 3104. So they're not organized in order of priority for replacement. It's just in order of the bridge ID number as the bridge ID number increases. So we went through and we provided the county with a suggested priority, and that is purely based upon the inspection, the sufficiency rating of the structure. And it may not accurately reflect how the county wants to prioritize these structures. So that's the discussion we need to have. But to directly answer your question, the order on MDT's list does not reflect is not the priority. It's just
Okay.
Organized by bridge ID number.
Thank you. So you're saying, Mr. Lloyd, that you have one already prepared with all these bridges on it in an order of priority, and that's going to be put on the line, the webpage. Is that correct? Yes? No?
Answer this one. Elena, he presented us with his list and he put the county priority on it, which he submitted us copies. And this we are going to have Paul look at and pick the top three, because we need top three, and then we will submit that.
Okay, thank you. And so I'm gonna bring up, since I'm involved with one of these bridges. First of all, 5 of them are wood or timber. And they range from 1934, the one in Drummond, to early years. The one I'm interested in is the Black Pine Road. That is in horrible condition. And I think I brought it up last time to the state, and they put it on here. We have a lot of traffic on it. It is too narrow for what we have going on. We have dump trucks bringing up dirt stuff from the refurbished Phillipsburg Pond going up Flint Creek. In the winter, it's too narrow with the trucks coming up. And now with Black Pine also working with fiber optic, they're really ripping up the road. And so I think, I hope, Mr. Lloyd, that takes priority, because we've got a lot of traffic on it. They're building developments up here, new homes, and that has been a problem for years. And I hope that's number one, as well as some of the other priorities with those wood and bridge that are made timber, wood or timber. So thank you for my comment.
Did you have a comment on that? Did you, Blaine, have a
I'll
comment?
go after
Okay,
Bill this.
I guess I just want to reiterate that ultimately it's the county's decision to prioritize, how to prioritize this. We just tried to provide some information to assist in making that decision.
That's generally what I was gonna say, and then looking at the inspection of it, the deck is good and the superstructure's good. So
And it's
I mean-
not posted. So,
Excuse me, I'm making the comment not only to Mr. Floyd, I'm making it to the commissioners, and I'll do it again when it's on the agenda after I see what their list of priorities are. And that's going to be another discussion with the commissioners. So I just wanted, for the record, I'm bringing it up now. Thank you.
well. For the record, their inspection shows that it's good. There might be some, I wonder if there's some like some rails there that potentially,
so I guess what we as the commission can do is to get all the information, Elena, from what you're describing. And your opinion on that bridge, and have him look at it. We'll take your comment into consideration and make sure Paul it's noted that this is your comment on the Black Pine Road Bridge. That work?
Yep.
Okay. All right, thank you, Elena. Okay, Elena,
any other comment or question?
any other comment?
thanks.
Now, after
Yeah.
Paul looks at it, if there's questions, please give me a call. And then I'll just wait for maybe an email from you, Leanne, and.
Yeah.
And once you guys make some decisions, and I'll take care of responding to the state, and I'll keep you in the loop on it.
Wonderful. Thank
Anything
you
else?
so much.
No, that's all I had, unless you had questions on anything else, that's. We're involved in. So.
Thanks.
Short and sweet.
Yeah, good to see
Yeah,
everybody,
so
thank
good
you.
to see
Yeah, have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Okay. Our next agenda item is dam tender report. The level is 6429.02, and we are 5.7 or 76 inches below full pool.
We're doing pretty good with this hot weather.
It's below full pool.
5.76.
5.76.
Well, yeah, that's probably been lot better than a lot of years for
Yeah,
getting towards the end
we
of
almost
July.
had Forest Service or a plane dipping into it. huh?
Yeah, I think they were, yeah, and yeah, they have their emergency laws there. I don't know if they still are, but
No, they said they
yeah,
weren't.
okay,
No, I heard they're taken out of Basin Creek
okay.
Reservoir.
As the sheriff, they could do echo, but the echo, like with those big planes, they need a lot of.
Did,
Or
did
Silver
the
Lake
sheriff,
either.
did the sheriff shut the lake down?
Well, the deputies went up there with I think there were potentially game wardens and Forest Service law enforcement, yeah, while they were flying.
So we're gonna put it on the agenda that we should talk about that, because the way I see it, if they're planning on using that as a water source. It's a new technology for the United States. Europe is been using those dipper planes for a long time. And, well, I don't know, but I've seen them. Anyway. They weren't using them here, so if that becomes a water source. It'd be for like a radius, and so the people probably would have the lake shut down. Every year for a certain.
Yeah. They should, yeah, working on an agreement and that type of stuff would be good. I know it's an emergency or whatever, but yeah, they do that with the airport. You have an agreement with them on, that use of that. Yeah, one thing I told the sheriff is that we're not giving them. Sheriff didn't really have authority to give them the use of the water. You can tell the people don't go out there. There's a distinction between that. I mean, the public safety deal is the sheriff's, the use of the water is different. I think there is the emergency powers, but they should, I think, come in and talking about an agreement.
So you mean that what, they were gonna close down the lake, right, Rick Reed?
Yeah, and so for public safety, sheriff can go up there and tell people, yeah, don't be out there. But as far as the sheriff saying, oh, you have authority to dip water out of there, that's more of a legal issue,
Yeah.
but
So I think it should be talked about, cause you got the water users and you got the lake people.
yeah,
And
Yeah,
there, if it went to courts, they're gonna trump on the emergency, but having an agreement in hand on, yeah, cause it's gonna be all summer long, that'd be an issue.
so how would we put this on the agenda and how do we go about doing the research?
I think just having Cameron come in,
Okay,
having discussion on Georgetown Lake. Really, the county's right is a pass-through right, so, but at least have a
do we want
discussion
to,
on.
do we want to do that next week or in a couple weeks or?
oh, whatever.
I guess we can kind of wait
See when-
because maybe get Altragus in here.
I just think it should be talked about. I don't have a dog in this
Yeah.
fight, as
Yeah.
they say.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't
No,
care one way or the
Like the
other.
homeowners down and
Mm,
ranchers and,
it's affecting,
yeah,
scooping water out of there is affecting everyone actually.
yeah. Yeah, so it'd be,
The level and the recreation and the
Yeah.
water users for,
yeah,
I
it'd
could,
be everyone get together.
I could set it a couple weeks out and give a chance to
I
coordinate.
think we're not in, it's not
Yeah,
gonna be
even
dire
yeah,
right
it's
now.
early this fall, I think.
I think
but
maybe
whenever-
just get it somewhere where we can kind of get our duckies in a row, how to approach this and visit with Cameron where he can get his resources and just have an informational meeting.
Okay, I'll start with him.
So is there a motion on water?
And I'll move to stay at 30 CFS.
Okay. I will second that. Was there any public comment? Being none, all in favor? Aye, motion carried and passed. Okay, our next agenda items is going to be monthly claims.
Let's see if they're ready. I think she's all by herself over there.
They did claims last week.
I know.
Oh, that'd be more. Got more bills.
Well, we used to just do them once a month and then they asked if they could do them twice a month, but I thought it'd be a little more scattered, but I guess.
But it'll always be the third week or, okay, that's what I tell people to get me. Well, sorry about your sidewalk there, but we'll get that prosecuted.
They don't have any claims for you this week. There was, Becky had a family emergency and had to leave last week, so. I guess they don't have any claims ready for you this week.
Okay, so we're going to take a recess until 10:20, means we don't have anything on the agenda.
Sound good?
All right, and Jackie Bolster, I see she is on, so I'm gonna make
Okay, we're
her.
back on and it is time for potential fire restrictions in Brennan County discussion and decision.
Well, I'm leaning stay at stage one. Because stage two, following acts are prohibited from 1 p.m. till 1 a.m. operating any internal combustion engine. You know what I mean? Somebody that's out there picking up hay bales can't go pick up hay bales unless there's an exemption for.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you could accept that, but then the exception eats up the rules, really.
Yeah, and then I see, like, there's a neighbor out there that's using a backhoe with a building a garage or something, and. So it's he can have to shut down. The one. I mean, and then I see other pieces of equipment when I was coming in, backhoes and whatever,
Yeah.
I just don't know. Anyway, welding, which I can see that, no open flame, and using explosive. And then 1 hour foot patrol work area is required. How many people are gonna do that? And back when I used to work with Forest Service, you had to make them do that.
You wait outside.
No, you come in.
Oh,
So anyway, well, I don't know.
so I don't know, Jackie, I see you're on your iPhone. Is there any way you can give us comment on what's going on? That our Jackie?
I think so. I made her a co-host. I knew she was gonna jump on at this time, but I know she's in the middle of some conferences too. I don't know if she was gonna be able to comment or just listen in.
Oh,
No, there was on Saturday night a grass fire in Drummond, but yeah,
so I know Scott wants stage 2.
You know,
So the difference,
the difference between stage one and stage two.
and I don't know if he was gonna call in or stipulate.
one, you can
Wow.
have, on stage one, you can have a fire in a designated fire pit, recreational area, but not outside. But yeah, the stage two starts restriction the use of equipment. But I believe there is the farming exception.
So is there anybody in the other counties that would?
I'm not sure if anyone's gone to stage two yet or not.
Let me see if there's any other communication from the university.
I don't know. I can go either way.
Convince me,
Hmm,
convince me.
convince me.
Well, I am taken because I'm not, how do I explain it? I can't make a determination because I don't. I'm not
Okay,
knowledgeable.
Missoula. Here's an article on K-Pax, from K-Pax on stage 2. Missoula, Sanders County, Lake and River Valley went to stage 2.
And they all have fires going on, right? Or do they?
Missoula
yeah.
does, I don't know that Lake does, isn't it? But yeah, it's,
And your
Right.
reasoning with stage 1,
I'm not gonna argue. either
no,
way.
no, I don't want to argue, I want a good reason if I'm gonna go with you, stage 1 is fine.
I might go to stage 2.
it seems like the county's pretty, I mean, split, and we got more rain up, that rain yesterday was pretty good, but then Drummond didn't get that rain. So, yeah, the county's kind of split a little
I
bit.
got about 5 minutes for rain.
Did you, yeah, okay, but
5 minutes.
like right in town, it came down hard.
Maybe a
We
little
got
more than
rain
5
last
minutes,
night.
but it came down, it wet the streets really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of hail, just a touch.
No, I didn't get-
I don't know,
Yeah, to me, it'd be if DNRC is really pushing you to go to 2, but
okay,
that would be the question, I think.
I haven't seen anything come through other than that Jackie sent.
What's Anaconda Deer Lodge?
yeah,
Or not.
come on in.
Oh, I'll make a
Yeah,
motion. to
we're
stage.
talking about, our fire restrictions right now, but I can get them right into.
Wait.
Do you know
So
what the
we're
fire
gonna-
restrictions are?
I'll make a motion to go to stage 2 for a week. Look at it, next week we get rain. I'll go down.
Okay. Okay,
Right, with the agriculture exemptions,
with
Customer.
But it
agriculture,
doesn't say that here.
but you can put that in,
okay,
yeah.
with agricultural exemptions.
Exactly.
I'll second that. Is there any public comment? Being none, all in favor?
I guess.
Okay, aye. Oh, wait, Lena,
Sorry about that. I was checking something. Anaconda Deer Lodge, which is next door and shares Georgetown Lake area. I noticed that they have different links. And then I pulled up, I think you mentioned fire restrictions order, Beaverhead Deer Lodge National Forest. And I don't know if this is up to date, but I think it shows stage 1. And it's kind of interesting because it has a map, which is kind of descriptive of the different areas. So it'd be nice if we had something like that to go on. And if there's, to check with what's going on over in Anaconda Deer Lodge. We've got more, we share more with them than we do with Powell County.
What do
And
they,
so that's what I think that's my comment. Thank you.
what is Anaconda Deer Lodge on? What stage?
think-
I'm sorry, it appears like it's on stage 2 still. Prohibitions, attending, or using a fire, campfire, charcoal, coal, wood exemptions, see another thing, and smoking except within an enclosed vehicle, and that kind of sounds like stage 2, no? Or stage 1, I'm sorry.
What about operating machinery after 1 PM?
And that doesn't say anything, I don't think. So I guess it's still a stage 1, or
Well,
I'm not sure of what the stages are.
Kind of sounds like they're stage.
one is you have to have fire in the designated fire pit.
So that must be stage one. If you're thinking about stage two, again, Blackfoot is working, digging and going on private property and
What-
putting down fiber optic, and they got heavy equipment. So
Yeah.
think about that too. Thank you.
That's actually a good comment, that would shut down Blackfoot during those,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna change my.
Okay, okay, we're gonna cancel that one and we're gonna make a new motion
We stay on stage one.
that stay on stage one. And I will second that. Is there any public comment? On that new motion to keep our fire restrictions stage one? Go ahead, Elena.
Sorry, my chair is a little too far away. Okay.
Thank you. Again, I was just bringing this up for, clarification. And I think things change daily, and I hope you guys look into it and think and see if maybe a stage two is coming up. So I was just bringing this up, what they're on now and the implications of going to a stage two, and I hope that you do check further. So that's it. Thank you.
Deep Red Deer Lodge is stage one, national forest.
Okay, all in favor?
Alright.
Aye.
If it stays hot and dry for another week, then probably we should go
Okay.
to.
Have it on the agenda next week.
Yeah. And just to be noted, if you get information. Giving information on,
Yeah, see if DNRC would make a recommendation next week.
okay, so our next agenda item. Is, you want to come forward. With. Kurt, and I don't want to massacre your name, so if you come forward. and
You're both
introduce-
welcome to come up. Go ahead.
Yeah, introduce yourself,
I
please.
will. Please forgive me, I haven't been before this type of quorum before, but, me and my wife were retired recently to. Phillipsburg.
What was your name again?
Kurt Fagralius.
You
Okay,
could come up more if you want, because this is on Zoom, so that,
you want to come,
I will come up, I had some exhibits that. I got, what is 5 of you here? I'm retired, like I said earlier, geologist from Farmington, New Mexico. And I don't like telling people right out the gate, where are you from? I think I come more with a where have you been? And so I put together a timeline. That is rather long and laborious, and I can go through it. However, my timeline is to represent that I am qualified in the areas of geology, particularly oil and gas development, water well development, underground mining. And I've got a bachelor's and a master's degree in geology. I was born in Helena, Montana. After kindergarten, my parents moved me to Great Falls. Following 3rd grade, they moved me to New Jersey, where we lived in a large forest, private forest. That's where I got exposed to the wilderness, if you will, of all places in New Jersey. We had streams, creeks, deer, fireflies, woodchucks. I spent my days swimming in the ponds and fishing the creeks of this great big undeveloped forest. Following 4th grade or 6th grade, excuse me, they moved me to Denver with my family, Denver, Colorado. We were in a suburb, and I wasn't the best student going through junior high and high school. I was frustrated, but I graduated in 1972. And please tell me,
to jump to the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, I would say that. yeah.
Okay, let me hit some of the high points, though. My grandparents were born in Montana. My father was born in Montrose, Colorado. They moved around a lot. They came back in 1970. I don't have the date on there, but my parents moved back here in 1979 to be close to my grandparents. The Teslos in Bozeman and the Fibreliuses in Helena. I need to put on my glasses, but following graduation, I went to work in the oil and gas fields. Well, first I worked in the mines in Silverton, Colorado. And mines were starting to close down, so I went back to college, finished my degree. Came out and got a degree in geology and went to work in Farmington, New Mexico, where we worked on oil and gas development. I got frustrated because pay was low. And I went back to school in Socorro, New Mexico, and got another degree in geology. And I went back to the same people in Farmington. They were loyal to me. I liked the area. It was a small town. In all of my travels and places that I've lived, me and my wife and family have always lived in the rural areas on the outskirts. So 1982, I married my beautiful wife, and we've been together since. And she's from northern Michigan, likes trees and forests, and we came up, like I say, every Christmas, every summer vacation to visit my grandparents and my parents. So I'm familiar what happens from pressure from outside developers in these rural areas, and I'm here to make a point, I guess, on proper planning prior to development of these areas, because we've seen towns like Durango, Colorado, Telluride, Colorado, Bozeman, case in point for those of you here. I saw Bozeman deteriorate, and that's tough for the people there. Now I'm down to about item 12. And I purchased my property in 2010 following advice from my dad that, hey, I'm an avid hiker, skier, fisher, hunter. And he said, you might like Phillipsburg. So I came up, I hiked the Pintlers from west to east. The next summer I came up and did all the trailheads, and I fell in love with the place. In the winters we skied here. And so convinced my wife this is the place we wanted to retire, and we came up looking for property. And on the exhibits that I have, by the way, I'm here basically because I was served on July 27th to sign a waiver to the covenants that are in place, put in place back in 1980 on my property. And I didn't think it was quite right the way they did that. I told them no a couple of times. They sent their daughter out, told her no. Then they started calling me through the winter, leaving me messages, and I blocked their calls. I felt that meant no's. Then July 27th, I'm served papers. I've never been served before. I don't know if
So what year is this?
that's this year
Okay, July 27th,
of this year, 2024.
okay, July
June
20.
27th,
Okay.
excuse me, June. My
We
wife.
haven't quite got to July 27th yet.
I'm so sorry. We're not sleeping. Okay, I was gonna ask if any of you have ever been served. It just destroys your life. I mean, the nerves that we're going through, no sleep at night, irritation. I had to get a lawyer. I've been down here bugging the heck out of Blaine and Linda, other people at the county. Over the holidays, it was tough to get a lawyer. I went through my will and trust lawyer, Lewis Smith, over in Deer Lodge. He read this. He's wanting to retire, does not do litigation. And he recommended a lawyer over in Missoula that I'm currently using, Mike Gulich. We had to get a response in 21 days. And that response cost me $5,000 in lawyer fees. Now, just in the first thing that happened is they said, well, how much does he want to settle for? And I think Blaine asked me the same question. We're not here to make money. We're here to enjoy peace and
You
quiet,
can sell the waiver or what? Okay,
to buy my signature on the
okay,
waiver.
okay,
Okay.
Kind
What,
of,
what do they want for the waiver?
So let me back up for a
Okay,
second
okay.
and kind
Let's
of
get some
boil the
information.
county's
yes,
portion down. Is that okay?
yeah,
With you?
Sure, it's
Okay.
on exhibit 1.
Yeah,
okay,
so on, if you look at his exhibit 1 that he gave you. When, so he's got the 3 original tracks marked. And those 3 tracks, when they were created, and so these are created under an exemption at the time that allows you to do 20-acre tracks. So there's no subdivision review, no
Yeah.
county review. But Bill Bear did these 3 tracks, created them, and at the time he puts this covenant on that says you can't break these smaller than 9 acres. It's a private covenant between the 3 parties involved. So what essentially ends up happening is last year, I think it was last year. So if you go to his exhibit 2, you'll see, oh, sorry, his exhibit 3, yes. You'll see that, so he's got the original tracks marked there, 6, 7, and 8. But
gotcha,
they actually look like 7 and 8, so the little yellow piece on 7 is his piece. And then 7 and 8 are glued together, the rest of them, into a piece that's owned by, is that Wellborn? Wellborn. And then tract 6 here is the one in question. So tract 6 in last year came in and they did a family transfer and broke off these 2 little lots.
okay,
These
gotcha,
family transfers are not reviewed
right,
by the county. State law says we are not to review them, so he brought the plat in. We did not review them. It's a private covenant. We didn't check to see if it was there. We just filed the plat. So
Well-
these 2 lots got created.
As Blanche knows, there's a lot of deeds and
Yeah.
COSs that are inaccuracies, but
Yeah.
the clerk recorder's job is for the formatting, not the
yeah,
legality.
and with
of-
family transfers, they just come in and they're filed.
Right. We
There-
don't
there-
review,
There's no, the commission don't look at it.
planning doesn't look at it.
The only person that would look at it would be the examining land surveyor, and they don't look at the legalities, whether or not it's right, they look at the points. If
Yeah.
they're in the right position.
Right,
So,
they just
yeah.
look at the technicalities of the plat and make sure it's formatted correctly.
Gotcha,
So these 2 lots got created.
okay, so
Then,
you're looking at.
so I'm still on
five.
3,
Okay, on 3, but on 5, does it show these 2 lots?
right? 5 shows the actual 2 lots
Okay,
on just that guy's
Okay.
property.
which are less
And-
than 9 acres.
Right, he's got two lots now that are less than 9 acres.
Okay, gotcha,
So. At the time that this happened, he went to sell what would be
6A.
6A. Last year, I got a call from this guy saying, hey, I have a problem, because I did this family transfer, 6A got created. And he was selling to an attorney of some sort who saw the covenant on there and said, ooh, I don't want to buy with that covenant on there because it potentially is going to impact my property. And he was asking me at the time, what do I do about it? So I told him, well, I think your options are you go and talk to the people and try to get the covenant off. Or you fix it, you make it 9 acres and you get rid of one of the lots because you don't have enough property to have 3 lots. So that's the last I heard from him. this guy that owns these 3 parcels.
I'm
Hey,
not,
just a minute, she's still talking.
So the next thing I hear is that, you know, the neighbor,
Luke
can I
Wellborn.
just call you?
I'm Kurt.
Kurt,
Yes.
Cause I can't say your last name very well. So the next thing I know, he's been served and, you know, and I think it's all an attempt to try to get this covenant off. And the question was, well, where's the county's responsibility in this?
And there
And-
isn't any.
Yeah, but it's like, why did we allow it? Well, we didn't really
We didn't.
allow it or grant it, and we at no point said that your covenant is negated. It's just that it didn't get caught when it went through because it was through an exemption. If this had been a subdivision, we would have caught the covenant and said, nah, you can't do it. But it wasn't a subdivision, it was
Okay,
a
so now,
family transfer.
in a nutshell, what this owner of 6 is wanting your waiver, you don't wanna give him a waiver, and so
Let me,
I'm just doing the whole 6.
okay, I have no objection to what's been done.
Right,
Okay,
I know,
what's done is done.
I know, okay, may I finish this?
Okay.
He wants a waiver from you and you don't wanna give him a waiver, right? I mean, that's just yes or no,
No, I do not want. to get
Okay.
more.
and that's where we're at, right?
Mhm.
And you're,
So
Okay.
yeah, that's a civil issue
Yeah.
at this point between those two, whether to grant the waiver or not. I completely understand why he wouldn't want to give a waiver on 6C. Cause it's the large parcel and you don't want to keep letting it go smaller and smaller and smaller. So that's for him and his attorney to, cause he's, you know, kind of said, I'm fine with allowing what's sitting there to sit there, but I don't want any more development on 6C. occur. Yeah, correct. And, you know, I think that that's a reasonable thing for him and his attorney to go back to them and say, we'll release 6A and 6B, but 6C, we're gonna hold your feet to the fire on.
okay, so what are you wanting from us?
Well, you can kind of scoop me, but I appreciate that. If we go to exhibit 6, you'll see Timber Ridge Trail, as y'all know, is a single lane, difficult road to travel. On this, I put all the green dots are existing homes. On track 7, my home is a green dot. Track 6 is just to the west. He's got 3, 4 more track possibilities there. And the track to the west of 6, which is track 5, I don't have it numbered. That individual has already tried to put 5 tracks on that. Now, I don't think it has the covenants on it. It's not addressed in my covenant. But he developed 1 track to the north, and then he's built a house to the south. He's sitting there waiting to see how this turns out. And so he could put on another 4 houses. The Wellborns could put on another 4 or 5 houses. You're creating I'm sorry, I'm not saying you.
So is this a completely different person, or is this the one you're still?
I've got 2 different neighbors already wanting to subdivide these tracts.
Well, they won't, they can't, right?
So,
They're threatening me with a lawsuit, lawyers' fees and.
so,
They have filed suit
yeah,
against him.
they have.
How can they
filed.
do that? I mean, it's.
They're alleging that that covenant is vague. That they-
Which,
Big deal.
Yeah. So,
Well, yeah, but it's when they give you a 21-day deadline. And if you don't sign their waiver by then you're responsible for their lawyer fees. And you agreed with what did you call it? Creative imagination. But I have to fight
I
it.
said that.
And total,
It is creative.
folks, I'm $10,000 into this. and-
Okay, I
Can't you countersue them?
Well, that's my next step. I thought I would check with the justice court downstairs if I can countersue.
Well, your claims that you're in
Go
district court,
upstairs.
yeah,
Well-
district court,
you go to district.
yeah, counterclaim would have to be in district court,
So Blaine, I'm not really quite sure
so.
what Granite County can do for.
So
me.
I analogize this to like a private contract claim, but, he's feeling like the county, has an interest in this and keeping basically a city up there being created, these covenants. Whether ultimately the county commission has generally stayed out of that sort of deal, but, the county thought there was a, interest there. The, potentially his, title company, he looked at, as, to help him out, but he's got expenses. Ultimately, hopefully it gets settled, but if, may not, it may go to trial and be expensive for him.
Linda, yeah, go ahead.
So, the subdivision on the number 5, so he's got his the lot 6, 7, and 8. A guy did try to subdivide 5. Probably, gosh, 5 years ago now. And so these are accessed in different ways. He was gonna have 5 lots up here accessed off of Timber Ridge. And then this little side road that comes down is, oh my goodness.
Well,
what is that
it was
little
called
side road?
Easy Desert Road and now it's called Kroger's Pond.
Yeah,
Road.
Kroger's Pond. So that little, one of them, the lot that he actually ended up getting was off Kroger's Pond. But the ones on the Timber Ridge Trail were all denied by DEQ because it is rockier than all get out up there. You couldn't even really widen the road because of the way that this just sits in. This is just sitting on bedrock. This is some rocky ground. And he could not get his to perk or do anything. This is Gordon Sorensen was doing this subdivision for him. And Gordon actually told the guy, this is an impossible subdivision to do, and pulled the subdivision. So that subdivision never went through. The guys threw out his plans and he just did the one lot that has the existing house down on Kroger's Pond. That's just history for 5. That I think is also why the 2 lots that this guy created for family transfer access off of Kroger's Pond, because that is not as rocky. You can actually get something to build in there. You can get something to perk in there. I highly doubt he could get anything up here to do anything. But if he wanted to go through subdivision, he would have to come in through subdivision. It would get thoroughly reviewed, and this covenant is gonna come up.
Yeah.
I think what's really important for Kurt and for the county to recognize, and this is on his timeline on page 2, and this is number, let's see here, 17. So he has Granite County grants Wellborn 2 family transfers. We filed a family transfer
Granite
grant,
County did
but
not.
we did not
Oh, okay.
grant it. But it's important
Yeah.
because it implies that we reviewed them, and we didn't review them.
No.
And by not reviewing them, we're trying to really emphasize that we did not say it was okay for this guy to break your covenant. I mean, we think that your covenant is standing there and you have every right to defend that covenant.
I'm not coming after the county. Please.
Well, you
please
couldn't.
I know, but I have
Right, Blaine?
I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be successful.
I'm not
Yeah.
interested in that.
Right.
I'm not a legal, I've never been to law, fighting lawyers and stuff. I'm a geologist.
Well, the one thing that you're saying on 17 is that his verbiage is absolutely wrong. We did not grant.
That's my
But-
version.
right.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's-
But I guess I just want it to be something that you can relay back to your attorneys, that if I can't remember his name again.
Max Gulich.
If Gulich is saying, hey, they okayed me to do this, that's not what we did. He filed a family transfer, we filed a family transfer. We did not review a family
Yeah.
transfer, and we by no means said, we've looked at your covenant and think that it's so vague that we're going to file a family
Yeah.
transfer and let you go ahead. we simply filed a family transfer, and if he's implying that by us allowing a family transfer to get filed, we're saying it's vague, that's not true. That's just not true.
I don't think Kurt's saying, help me or I'm gonna sue you. I don't think, he's never
No,
said
yeah,
that.
no.
It's just more,
I just have
can you,
some-
is there any help that you can give me? I
Okay,
think
so
it's
the
his
one-
question.
Blaine, like the one thing that we clarify is that. Okay, family transfer doesn't go under any scrutiny. The only scrutiny, am I saying that right?
Scrutiny.
Mhm.
Is to make sure that it's a family member.
Yeah,
That's the
it.
only thing that, and that goes through, that's on, we do it,
Yeah,
which. It could happen that they weren't a family member and we just took their word for it. And we do a little research now where it's happened before they weren't a family member, but that happens. I mean, that's something, okay, let me finish, please. That's something that gets filed, which could be a mistake. There's lots of mistakes that are filed in that office that Granite County is not liable for. So that's one thing I think that your attorney needs to understand that, no, I know, but I'm just saying, or that other guy's attorney, he's saying that we're liable for it.
no, they're just kind of implying that since we allowed it, that we gave some credence to the covenant being not valid, and that's not true. We absolutely did not review the covenant, we didn't know the covenant was on there, and we have made no claims about the validity of that covenant.
The people bringing lawsuit against Kurt, they have the burden of proof
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
prove it
Yeah.
is vague. Meantime, though, if Kurt holds a strong stance, you know, he's gonna be several
Yeah,
thousand
right.
out of attorney's fees, so it is, I mean, that's what the justice system is to do, to resolve the disputes, but now it's, yeah, it's.
Could we write a letter saying that what she just said? That we didn't approve it, we just filed it, basically?
Well, I don't think the
I think
the
it's-
plaintiffs are arguing that the county approved it all, they're just saying that the covenant's vague. That's their main argument. That it's so vague, it's void.
No,
So that isn't anything that I think Granite County or the commissioners can honestly get involved in. Do you think, or what do you think, Blaine?
Again, historically, the commission is
I guess
not, I mean,
in one instance, there could be a list of, okay, family transfer type things that can be submitted. Saying in no way a format of some sort that the county can submit. Linda, just a second, Linda.
We've had other family transfers that have gotten filed incorrectly. And they really were incorrectly
Yeah.
done by us.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, since we don't review them, we don't even require an application. Because our whole point is that we're not going to review them.
So we shouldn't really,
one thing I'm willing to do is, I told him this, I would. Review his title policy to see if potentially, you know, his title company should be defending him here. So I'm still willing to do that.
that's, okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Back to these family transfers, it's my understanding that they have to. Hold transfer for 3 years before they can sell it. My next question is, once they sell it, can they do another family transfer?
Okay, so the way family transfer rules, so I believe this family transfer got done before the legislative rule changed. So so if you look at his parcel there. Back to page 6 or 5, his exhibit 5. You'll see on his 6A, you'll see right under where it says. Oh gosh, my eyes are getting
I
bad.
can take 6
Then it says-
0.948.
Yeah, and it says right under 2.94 acres, it says. Remainder of parent tract. So, or
Which you.
remnant
Remnant
of
of parent.
parent tract 5.
Five.
So, at the time,
Okay.
our family transfer rule was that the parent tract retained its rights to sell.
Yeah.
These other two right now are under a clock that they can't sell. So he only has rights to sell 6A. the family transfer rules have subsequently changed. And now it's a 2-year clock for these two. If you were to create him right now, he's still under the old rules. He's got to keep his for 3 years.
So 6A was the parents.
6A is a parent, and right now our thing says 1 year for the parent, 2 years for the created tracks, because that's what state law says now is 2 years for those tracks. So, and yes, the state law changed to say if you have a family transfer, if it was family transferred, you can family transfer again. I'm not so wild on that, but that's what state law says now.
You can,
You can, yeah. So,
Yeah, it's, that's
and
our
that's,
fathers who aren't Helena.
yeah, and that, at that point, of course, you still have the requirements that you can only, like whoever he gave these to, if he gave this to his son and his daughter, they're done. He can't give any more to his
Right.
son and his daughter. He could give maybe one to his spouse. If he had another kid, he could maybe do one to them. If his son owns this tract, then the son could do one. If he sold it, whoever got it could do one. But at some point, you know, we do look
Okay, so
at
did
them
he,
for
he
evasion.
kept,
Well,
sorry, he kept 6A and he transferred to kids 6B and 6C?
Right,
Okay,
so how low can these go? I mean, if they keep dividing family transfers, I mean, how low can it go for acreage?
until
Wait.
they can't get DEQ.
Yeah, you do have this, yeah, the septic is. I guess they could put a house on there without septic, right? And
Right.
do on like a,
Why do we approve covenants? If they could just be built.
Okay, so this is the key point. We didn't approve
Yeah.
this covenant.
it's.
And we're not party to this
Yeah.
covenant. Now, when we do subdivisions, we are party to those covenants. And I have a lot of people that call through the year, every single year that say, hey, can I break this? And it's like, no, this is a subdivision. We are party to this covenant. We're not going to allow it to break again. And they'll be like, well, how do I get that off? And I just tell them, you probably aren't going to get that off. We're not going to recommend that you can get that off. We put it on there. We maintain that covenant and we're going to not let it break again. And if we have a covenant on there like that, it does get caught, even if it's a family transfer.
so I
But
see,
this was a private covenant.
I just see a distinction too, though, like a VRBO or whatever, is the county gonna get
Yeah.
involved in that, the split, yeah, but. Other ones generally, the county stays out of those even,
Right.
but yeah, split, definitely. The,
So I'm not quite sure what you're asking.
Well, I haven't gotten to finish.
Well, we're kind of running.
Well, let me speak then, please, and pardon me, thanks, but, if you'll go to exhibit 7. That's a geologic map of the area that supports the covenants that I'm talking about. The red arrow points to, a black box, which is lots 6, 7, 8, it's this map here, ma'am.
I see it.
Okay, we're up on top of that Phillipsburg batholith. It's over 600 feet thick. It's not conducive for drilling or construction of homes. Now, if you go to exhibit 8. This is an interesting map to me, dashed in red or arcuate around the tracks is the batholith. And you'll see across the top of the batholith, you're looking at 20-acre tracts. Over on the northeast corner, you've got a lot of rectangular tracks that trend east-west. Those are patented mining claims. Down along Rumsey Road, you have many small tracts, and that's because they're over alluvial deposits, gravel and sand, where you can make water and you construct homes. But up on that granite, our forefathers had enough knowledge to know that you can't put multiple houses up there. I have a conclusion, and I'm not coming after the county for anything, but I do have something that I'd like to read, if you don't mind. I'd ask you to research existing covenants before any divisions, and I've heard that you can't do that on a family transfer. I'm not sure that track 6, the bigger track, would be subject to the covenant still, so that's not a family transfer.
Wait, say that again.
If you go back to page 5,
Mhm.
track 6C, it's 12 acres. It's not a family covenant.
Oh, it is a family transfer.
Okay, I will skip that. And then my next point was to protect and honor existing covenants. Not allow any further subdivisions on track 6, and you're saying you can't do that. But also form a planning and zoning commission. To prepare a comprehensive plan of development for Grant County that takes private ownership, fire mediation, septic disposal, private property owners' opinions. And that commission ought to meet regularly to address concerns and make revisions as needed. I don't think anyone wants to see development occur here like has happened in the communities that I addressed at the beginning. I don't want to see it, and this is not a threat, but I'll have, if I lose, which I'm not going to be able to stay in a lawsuit for much longer. We live on our social security checks. And we're quite comfortable. I don't want to pay out from them. I want to live peacefully where I live and be left alone from outside developers. This developer is from Denver. The one on track 5 is from Scottsdale. They're here to make a buck. And part of that,
I'm sorry, you're digressing again, so,
I gave you some things that I would like the county to do.
and we do have a planning board.
A board, but is it a commission? Deer Lodge has one that meets regularly and a plan for areas of development. And I don't know if that's the same as what Grant County has, but
So both Deer Lodge, Powell County and Deer Lodge County, which is where Anaconda is, they both have countywide zoning. And so they have county planning boards that look at their land use because they have countywide zoning. We have, every time we open the growth policy, the question comes up. And we've always heard, we don't want the county to zone us. We have one zoning district and up at the lake, that one, they kind of brought in and asked to be zoned. But we've always kind of held the property rights position of we're not going to zone unless people actually ask to be zoned. And without zoning, we don't get a say in how big the lots are going to be. Or the density.
I think we're gonna be looking at amending the growth policy soon, that may.
that's the same thing.
Yeah.
I have neighbors down the road that are going through the same issue, and they're good people. Me and my wife are good people. We're just trying to protect what we feel is ours. I keep saying it, I'm not looking to sue anyone. I want to come out of this hole and I don't know, it's nothing I ever wanted in my life. Honestly, this is a nightmare for us. I think I told you what we've gone through. My wife's health has declined considerably. We had a dog that came home suspiciously, died 6 hours later after getting to the vet. We've had multiple things happen during this period of time. And now I'm dealing with a lawsuit brought to me because I won't waive the covenants that were put on my property when I bought it. I bought it with the understanding that nobody could develop around me. The title company knew that, the seller knew that, I as the buyer knew that. So I just came here so I could express my concern, and I don't want to see that happen to somebody else. You may not like me or my presentation or anything like that, but I haven't had a full night's sleep since this all started. And my wife is the same way. It causes you to maybe not think straight. It causes you to be overly emotional. We can't just pick up and go and buy another place. With that said, I cede my
And I
time.
sincerely hope you don't think that it's not that we don't like you or.
I'm here trying to get somebody to help me.
Absolutely, yeah.
I have,
And where are we at? Where are we at with this?
everybody
So-
says settle.
So I think, yeah, you're good people, you're kind of in, and you have a potentially a strong legal position here. It just costs money to defend yourself. I think you gotta look further at your title company helping you.
I've talked to him a few times and he's
But-
wish-washy.
But have your attorney, get
I
after
don't
that.
wanna sue my title company. I mean, he's a small guy doing a service here in town and. But if that's what it's gonna take, I don't know where my money's best spent.
I don't know that it's suing them, but pointing to the top, the policy and saying, here, you guys insured that, if they in fact did. So I think it's looking into that a little more.
Making sure, because that's why they're a title company. They're insured. They're insuring you.
He honestly told me he thought it was
It's not going
ambiguous,
after them, it's going after your rights.
you know, that's.
He thought the covenant was ambiguous,
Yeah. And I demonstrated to you why the covenants was put
But-
together. Just-
but did the title policy cover that covenant? That'd be the question, I think.
It says on my title there that all pre-existing covenants apply.
And if they guaranteed that, yeah, they're on the hook. I'd have your attorney look at that,
Yeah,
And
I hate to do this, but we're like,
but
I took a little more
Yeah.
time.
I'm gonna look at that too for you as well, but I think you should have your attorney. That policy.
Did he get you the title?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
See, I've asked him twice to send him the title information and he's backpedaling. Everybody is, we'll backpedal out the door. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
okay, well, no decision was made. So we are running behind our, next item is resolution 2024-10. The Granite County resolution requesting a ballot issue for the general election on November 5th, 2024. Regarding a proposed local option motor vehicle tax. And it is the first reading. We did have what we thought was the first reading last week, which maybe, I don't know, we can put on that first reading, it was a draft or something, so in case somebody.
I think,
sees the
yeah,
first
and-
Reading,
Just putting in the minutes now that you had new information come along and you directed me to change that resolution, the resolution to 90,000 for
okay,
the value of the vehicles. And so this would be a first reading on the
Okay.
new language.
so the reason that this is the first reading is the manufacturer's suggested retail price. We didn't understand exactly what that was, and we were thinking that, okay, we'll just do the 100,000. And then we come to the understanding that, okay, that's just that's not your. And you had suggested and strongly suggested 90,000. And so after doing the research, I asked if we could get this on the agenda as a first reading and explained it. Chuck, because that was okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay, so that's why it's first reading today.
The MSRP does not cover the additional option, yeah, the additional
Yeah.
option, it's the base, yeah. And then the other question we had was, what happens on year 2, 3? That it's the regular, follow the statutory table that gives the depreciation and the taxes off that depreciated value, so for the separate table for the motorhomes, but there's for the vehicles and motorhomes, and separate table for
And
cars
then,
and trucks.
okay, one question, it falls off after 10 years. You don't get taxed. no more.
Yeah, it's on the 11th,
Oh.
do the permanent,
Okay.
but it would be on that on that 11th one, you still have a. Yeah,
I
option
see.
tax.
And by 11 years, your MSRP is going to be well under that 90,000. It's interesting when you're looking at doing some of these collector cars, that are $4.9 million cars in value currently, but it's still based off of the value when the car was made, is my understanding.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see how that works. I have not heard any additional information from the DOJ yet about historical data for us. To kind of give rough numbers yet. I haven't heard anything.
So this would be the first reading and it was changed from last week's first reading. So I guess we'll take any public comment on the first reading, if there is any. You need it?
Resolution, I can. Let's see.
Everyone person.
So the understanding is that this exercise or this
Local option tax,
local
local option motor vehicle tax.
local option motor vehicle tax stays in the county and is distributed between both the county and the incorporated towns.
The first 50% goes to the county, the other 50% split based on population with the county and the incorporated towns in Drummond and Phillipsburg.
So you come in Phillipsburg.
So I see that Phillipsburg could get a reasonable amount there. Drummond, based on population,
Yeah.
wouldn't be huge, but still be
A little bit.
yeah.
And this, it currently says, based on population established by the 2020 US Census. That will change
Yeah,
the next time we have a census, is that?
yeah, we could put, I mean, that's applied as amended, but we could put that in there as amended or as updated.
Okay, because
That's
the
the-
populations are definitely
It's a,
quite.
yeah, as updated.
Yeah.
A comment from Elena.
Go ahead, Elena.
I have a question. Thank you for the record. The other 50%, I think I heard 50% is shared by the county and the incorporated towns, population wise. What about the non-incorporated towns like Hall and Maxville?
Not included in that, so. Looking at that, I would ballpark it saying 75% range would go to probably go to the county. And then, what do you? And I don't, guess I don't know the exact population of Drummond, but it's gonna be a smaller percent.
Yeah, I think based off of I'm just basing this off the cannabis tax, which is similarly distributed, but I think it's for the census 295 for Drummond and around 800 and some odd for Phillipsburg, based off of the 2020 census, not current,
So, yeah,
roughly. So that does not include Hall or Maxville or any of those populations.
that gets counted towards the county's percentage there on that other. The 50%, how it's split.
So it doesn't include the non-incorporated towns. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Any other information that needs to be input?
And Mayor, have you heard any comment on it or?
No, I haven't heard
Oh, yeah.
anything. In fact, well, other than someone informed me that you guys are underway in doing this. And I've been aware of this possibility for a decade or better. And so when I come in, you guys are examining this and looking at the possibility of it.
Have to go to the voters and.
Right,
have
and
them-
I'm always an advocate for that, putting it on the ballot, so. Full speed ahead, as long as everything's done, yeah.
And it would be. 90,000 MSRP on vehicles and then motorhomes,
Motorhomes was the,
200,000. So
So Blaine, here's a question. How do we get it out to the public so that they understand that this is actually a good thing?
So the county can't do like a promotional, but you could do like facts, the county could do fact sheets and. Put that fact sheet in the paper. Newspaper and website, Facebook, social media.
and just speaking with, folks that come in and do their registrations, having, like you're saying, a fact sheet right there at the counter for them to look at. There's, like you said, the website,
That could, yeah, that could be dispersed. So good, that critical of the fact sheet being accurate and complete.
So do we need like to get a fact sheet into the paper and stuff like that?
That's what I would, yeah. That's what-
it's gonna depend a lot on what information I can actually
Yeah.
get from
Yeah,
the DOJ, and it kind of sounded like from Phillips County, who implemented this in 2023. That a lot of it was just word of mouth, talking to the people that came in. I don't know that we could have necessarily a public hearing for information. Could we do something similar to that? To just try and,
Yeah,
Maybe.
but public meeting, you could have a full public meeting in
yeah,
the evening.
and that's because the information that people don't understand is the fact that. Any of those licensing fees all go, every bit of it goes to the state, and then it's trickled down. And what we get is based on when it first was initiated, and it hasn't gone up, I don't think anything.
Real limited.
Yeah, it's entitlement, and so the entitlement gets split out. Where once upon a time, we got all of these, and the state decided that in the best interests of Granite County, that they'd take it and give us back the what we needed.
Not that the county's selling it, but 90,000 on a vehicle and 200,000 on a motorhome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah, and yeah,
luxury item, and it's not, that, what was it, 90,000 on the, $90,000 vehicle, the tax would be in the $50 range.
yeah,
Under $50.
Yeah.
So, it's. While those combined can add up individually on each
Yeah.
vehicle, it's not, a
so,
backbreaker.
so on the vehicles, does that include like farm equipment and stuff? Or is it luxury vehicles? What is it?
it's just on the,
Yeah, it's
Like-
not, yeah, that's not on farm equipment.
On what?
It's not on farm equipment.
Okay, so it's just,
So in luxury, it means the amount is 90,000 or more, so the. Car, truck,
okay,
So did we decide last week we couldn't adjust for inflation at 90,000? We couldn't,
correct. So it might have to later on go in and. It's amending the resolution and putting it back to the voters to add it to change.
and the one thing is hopefully this would pass and then we would see the revenue coming in. And how it's being distributed and getting the knowledge to the people, hey, this is going back into Granite County, all of it's in Granite County, no matter what.
Mhm.
And we can use it,
Yeah.
can we use it? Look, what is it for infrastructure and stuff like
yeah,
that?
that was the follow-up question I had with the DOJ, and a little more research needs to happen there. Is what can those funds actually be used for once they are distributed? Is there any caps on what type of things they can be used for?
Yeah, I think it's further broad. The, well, like the treasurer's office could use the help with the, you're talking with
Mhm.
clerk,
An
right?
additional clerk and
Yeah.
computer.
Yeah,
Yeah, because the DOJ, they are not going to be supplying us with any additional computers. We have 2 workstations, that's all we're allowed to have. Unless we purchase additional workstations out of our own coffers. Yeah, right now, like. $688 is what we received from the state for postage, so that's the only income that we have for like previous month. So that's the only income we have for this.
What, you said how much Phillips County brought in,
Yes, Phillips County,
fairly comparable to
Or-
Granite County, isn't it?
yes, they don't necessarily do as many transactions as we do. But I would say population size is comparable. I think tax base, Billy, we used them as a comparison before, right? Phillips,
Yeah.
Muscle Shell, and
Mhm.
I forget about Sweetgrass.
Similar
Yeah.
tax base.
But their 2023 fiscal year, it was their first year that they put this in place. And we modeled our resolution similar to theirs. They brought in $59,350. Starting January 1 of
Is
2023.
that total or just to the county, and then there was some with the cities as well?
That's just total.
Okay, that's total.
Yeah, I would
Sure.
have to ask them for their breakout, but they own. I think they only have 1 town that they have to
Okay.
distribute to.
So they probably took 75% of that at least,
Yeah,
that's a good.
and I was looking at, there was a brochure that was put out, by MT.gov, that stated for Granite County, we had about 2,000 transactions that were considered luxury vehicle transactions. And it was talking about the increase in those transactions in the state of Montana for these towns that do not have any kind of an option tax. And how these registered agents and these LLCs are just flooding to these communities that don't have this. And the impact it's having on the county with the workload.
Yeah.
Versus revenue coming in. There's no balance.
And I think that's another thing that would be really great to get out to the general public. Is what's happening. I don't know if it's gonna curtail it at all. But what's happening is Granite County, you, the taxpayer, are paying for these luxury items to be filed because,
Processed.
and we don't get anything back
Right.
except for postage.
Yeah. And they're working, there's I just got an email yesterday that, the DOJ is working to put into legislative that counties will receive somewhere around 10 cents per transaction. Is
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay, on just every transaction.
on every transaction, and that's supposed to alleviate some of the stress of toner, paper, postage, all of those types of things. I don't know that it's
Sounds like
gonna
a
pass,
pat on the head.
10 cents.
but
You know what a stamp is?
Yeah, whatever, it's 55, 58.
it's their effort,
Is
I
it now?
guess, to try and alleviate that, but that's something that may or may not pass. And I don't think we should bank on it.
No.
Yeah. Never
Okay.
know.
Thank you, Ashley.
Yes.
Okay, so that was our first reading. There is no decision made. We'll have the second reading next week and a motion made. Decision next week. And talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors.
I don't know that any of us in here are impacted. I know I'm not.
This isn't a sales tax.
I would emphasize the word luxury
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
those numbers that are pretty high.
yeah,
It's not affecting your little Ford pickup
Yeah.
truck at all. It's
Yeah.
just a
Yeah.
verified thing.
Yeah.
And it just keep
Hammer.
capitalize that.
Yeah.
And hammer
Yeah.
that part of it.
yeah.
And
And
I will speak with my counsel about it.
Okay.
So I know what's pending.
the luxury part of that resolution really doesn't have a legal definition, it's more. it's 90,000 or more, we're considering that
The
luxury.
numbers.
Yeah, the numbers, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, so that would be the thing that, what does that
Yeah.
mean? Well, it means this,
Yeah.
quantifiably, yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, our next agenda item. And we're running
Thanks.
half hour late. Is a roundtable with department heads and union representative concerning time clocks. Implementation, discussion and decision. And I think,
So I have comments from, I know Blaine talked to the union rep. I have comments from a couple of department heads who couldn't be here. I don't know what
Okay,
you wanted
okay,
first.
Blaine, I'll start with.
So Megan Uhas is the new union business agent and talked to both the solid waste and the road crew, and they're pretty strongly against Bill. It seems to me with the union or at least the road crew union, it's using their thumb, and I guess I don't know fully what that concern is using the thumb, but
So I have some comments from the sheriff. He was thinking, I think they were talking about having dispatch kind of manually clock their people in all the time, and he kind of had raised concerns over that, making it just another step for his dispatchers to have to do and kind of redundant to what they're already doing over there. But that's really all he had to say. Deb Robinson, and I see she's on, but she had just kind of commented that it's difficult for her and her staff because they're never starting their day and ending their day in the same spot. But if there was an app making it able for them to do it on their phone, but having to clock in the same spot and out in the same spot wouldn't really be feasible for their department. And then I talked to Ben, he's not in here, yesterday, and he was talking about for his extension office secretary, how many times that they're doing 4-H stuff. So they're either at an event at night or like during the fair, and how that will work, and if he's going to be able to have access, because a lot of the time he's going to have to be clocking her in and out manually. And then he had just a lot of questions about how that will work for weed crew, especially if road crew is not going to have a time clock station, if the weed crew is set up Wi-Fi wise and all of that for them to be able to clock in and out at their shop.
he has salaried, so it wouldn't affect him, just
Well, yeah, and he's not a Granite County employee,
so,
he's
yeah,
extension, but just
yeah.
managing his secretary.
Ashley, did you have anything?
No. My employees, they are all there for it. They think that it would alleviate some stress in the clerk and recorder's office when it came to payroll. I have no issues with it, especially because I've done in past a similar setup. It was a full palm scanner, and it was very simple for department heads to go in and make adjustments for anybody. Come the end of the month, you would just have them note what adjustments needed to be made and why, and just have that backup if needed. It's pretty simple.
So if work different, like at evenings, whatever,
Yeah.
then it was an easy fix.
Yep. It was really easy to just go in and adjust.
Janine, did you have a comment? Linda,
No, not really.
for or against? Be honest.
I just don't see the point. I just don't see the point of needing it. It's like we don't have that many employees.
And I'm gonna say this about being a payroll clerk for 11 years before I became clerk and recorder, and the employee count hasn't changed. And when I first started, I did it all manually. So there was no computer to do. So it took us several days, but when we interfaced, and it became quite easy, and it wasn't that burdensome. So I'm not sure where the payroll. That's my comment. I'm not sure where the
Yeah.
payroll is so difficult that we'd have to do time clocks, in my opinion.
One thing, wasn't it the road crew that wanted the pay twice a month?
Yeah.
And this was gonna help that,
Oh,
so,
okay.
I mean,
That's for this all you can is bi-weekly pay.
yeah,
That was my question.
yeah.
It's
I-
easier, quicker.
If people wanted that, then I'd be.
And that in
it's not a
itself
problem.
is just doing payroll twice a month, and
Yeah.
that is, you'd have to designate. The time frame where we have, the time cards had to be in. I'm just giving you some history here. The time cards had to be in by the 25th of the month because we were paid on the 30th. And then our auditor said, you can't do that because in that 25th, by the 30th, there could be time off. And then you're not giving a true rate. So then we had to change it to the 5th of the month. So then the time cards had to be in on the 30th, and they were paid on the 5th of the month.
Mhm.
So that gives the 5 days. To do payroll. Like,
One thing I told the Megan from the union was that, this is the way to get paid twice a month, so then, they know that that's really the only way they can do it.
It was that the initiation of the time clock, the initial investment and everything was based off of trying to get on a twice a month.
Was
pay
Part of
schedule.
it, at least, I think.
I
It
believe
was
it was, yeah.
presented kind of together. I think it came about as one
As
thing.
one unit.
yeah,
So I guess Becky and Sarah are not here, but what? Would it be beneficial for a one-time payment, or is it more beneficial if we were to move to a twice a month payment? I mean, is it necessary for a once a month, or is it more necessary if they were trying to pursue it twice?
The once a month thing is everybody balanced and. It was, which you still do, but it's more interface now than it was before, and so all the things. Because you have to make sure you're all in balance, and then I don't know, I'm not gonna go deep into it, but. Then you'd have to do that twice a month instead, but you actually wouldn't have to do that twice a month, there's a way you could do. A draw. There's a lot of companies that do a draw. In 2 weeks, they get a draw, and then their time
Oh,
card
and
is
then they
official,
balance it.
yeah. At the end of the month.
Mhm.
It's fixed, basically. at the
Yeah,
end
it's
of-
fixed,
that's it.
yeah.
I mean, coming in here from the outside, once a month is tough to get used to.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
It's just complicated, yeah. But once, it's like, once you get used to it, you get used to it, and.
Yeah.
It is what it is, but yeah, I mean, I live either way, it doesn't, not
Yeah,
going to affect me hugely either way, I would prefer the phone app if they're gonna do it. Cause that just makes it easier, I mean,
Is that an option with the current system that we're looking at, or, I mean,
well, this is it's a new, completely new.
I think there's a lot of different ways you could do it. I think you could do it on a phone or an IP address or on the biometric time clocks. I think she had ordered time clocks for the road departments, but I think there's a whole bunch of different applications for it. But I think is what they were focused on selecting was IP addresses for courthouse employees and biometric time clocks for road and bridge, right?
but the biometric, you'd have to be actually there at the shop.
Thumbprinting, yeah. But I think there's a whole bunch of different ways that interface with time clocks.
What does the thumbprint go on? Just a little pad there?
A
So-
glass
Sensor,
thing,
yeah.
yeah, that you
Okay.
just.
so this is, obviously, I'm a little in the dark, but there's already been an initial investment into this from the county?
Yeah. And then the road crew.
Yep.
Block, so, yeah, got it.
Okay. So what happens to that initial investment?
The
It's gone.
investment,
Yeah, are we able to return any of those
No.
products?
The
Reading it.
thought I brought up
Too
is,
long.
how about everyone else trying it and then they'd be on the separate system, but talking to Sarah about that, doesn't sound like that would work.
it was maybe a little prematurely
Purchase.
purchased.
So,
We could sell it.
Yeah, we
potentially.
own it.
If they can sell it.
Yeah,
That's-
if we could, yeah, have to,
And there might be some loss.
yeah,
I would assume there probably would be some.
yeah.
The road crew would be possibly okay with it if it was non-thumbprint based.
Mm.
They're okay with the clock in, clock out. with
Like
the
the,
computer.
like a phone,
Potentially.
like a phone
Like
app
a
or
phone,
whatever.
yeah,
I think-
potentially, but we're gonna have to negotiate it during a
Yeah.
union.
Well, it could be
contract
negotiated
negotiation.
anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'd have to open them though.
yeah. definitely.
I would say what I'm thinking, if I'm correct, Blaine, is right now we can't even consider it because of the fact the union says no.
Yeah,
Until
but
we
Sarah's
negotiate.
saying it's gotta be all or. none.
Yeah, all or,
Because they can't be manually entered. Into
Could
the same,
manually
same,
enter
No,
them.
but it's just
We could
the,
manually enter.
same system. She would have most, and this, I mean, I don't know what Sarah's feelings are on it, but most of the county being on the time clock system, and then say if it was, you know, the road crew, it's union, they could still submit their time or their manager.
well, I think
Would
that
go
was
in and
discussed
submit
too, and,
those.
and
It would.
they didn't really like that idea.
Well,
My,
I don't think they could stop
Yeah,
that one.
no,
If they're
that was
continuing the
your
same,
call.
if they're continuing the same way and the county
Yeah,
is able to do something different and it matched up
Yeah.
and worked, we could do that,
I
but.
mean, the head of their road crew could go in and enter their time into this application, just as if they were submitting it to Sarah, and it would be
Yeah.
done across the board, they just
Yeah.
would be fingerprinting.
I mean, essentially you could do all electronic time clocks and people, like that's been said yesterday, like MSU went to an all electronic time clock system. He said they don't punch in and punch out. It's just like we do our time clock, time sheets now for you, but he said you just go into the computer and do them. So they're just getting them electronically and they're getting.
okay, and
them
here's the
electronically.
situation, they bought the time clocks. The time clocks are purchased,
Uh-huh.
is what my understanding. Yeah, we don't have Sarah or Becky here, so.
Mhm.
Potentially, yeah. Have it maybe another time. or,
And that's
yeah,
where
they
we're
could come
stuck,
in.
is because
Yeah.
their purchase.
How many?
Two.
I'm
Oh, just to the bio?
Yeah, and I think maybe, and I don't know what the amount is for the actual time clocks versus the implementation of the program with Black Mountain.
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
what the
Yeah. I-
cost differential is.
So what are we doing?
Can I?
I'd
can
say
I just
table
be
it.
the devil-
Okay,
Play the devil's
the
advocate.
devil's
At
advocate.
1 second.
Yeah,
And honestly, the question that all the employees wanna get answered, I think that's underneath the surface and nobody wants to say is. Who's tracking us with this? If this is just information for the commissioners to know, hey, we're here, we signed in, we're here, we're working, that's fine, we don't have a problem. It's who's going to look at it and say, well, I know for a fact so-and-so wasn't here at that point. That's what I think is
Yeah.
sort of
The
the
control,
elephant
the
under
control
the
issue.
water. Yeah, that we just don't all want this.
And that
You
is
guys are
exactly, you're exactly correct.
and I mean, nobody wants to say that because we don't want to offend other employees, and I'm not saying that. I think that is or isn't going on, I'm not going to, it's not going on for me, that's all I can comment on is Linda Bott.
Yeah.
But that's the big issue that I hear from other people is that there's a lot of sniping that's going on and they're worried that time clocks are just gonna increase sniping.
Shouldn't it just be department head approval, and once it's
It
approved by
should.
the department head, that's it goes to payroll and it gets paid?
it should be.
I mean.
That's how it
You
should
should
be.
be able to. Yeah. No, you're right, you're right.
Yeah, department has to be
Yeah,
the final say on the.
And that's how it should be even now, but it isn't, and everybody knows that there's sniping that kind of goes on in the background, and it's like. Just let it go.
Yeah.
If we all supported each other as employees, we'd all get
Yeah.
along much better, but
So here's my philosophy, and this is how I feel, and I've made no bones about it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm sorry, that's how I feel. I'm sorry, I'm not sorry, because. I don't know where the difficulty is coming in the payroll, because like I said, I did it manually, and then when it was interfaced. Then it became easier, but there's still that a lot of time that you have to organize your time cards, get them set up. But that, it doesn't take that long, I am sorry, and it hasn't changed since I was payroll clerk, I'm sorry.
yeah, and so for me, it doesn't matter, electronically, paper, I don't care.
And if
But
just,
I just am going to lay it out there that that is
yeah,
the big
no, I
issue.
can see where that
The
would be.
sniping that's going on, and if the sniping doesn't happen, then I don't think anybody cares.
And I
If
think,
we're doing this or if we're doing this.
if I'm not correct, Blaine, wasn't that what the road crew were saying? Hey, you have no right to.
Yeah, I
With
think
the
it's,
Danny-
yeah, I mean, there's I think the control issue, I think is the,
Yeah,
but I don't, I mean, I haven't talked, I've only talked to Megan. Cause she brought up the idea of, well, how about a fob? We've done fobs, like, well, thumbprint's way easier, you don't have to keep track of a fob or a card or anything, but
You
this.
have that.
Yeah, the app where you could use it anywhere, that may, if that was, could be integrated part of it, then.
well, understandably, it'd be more streamlined because then all you'd have to do is print it out. You don't have to worry about organizing
Yeah.
the time cards, but it's not the fact that we have 150 time cards, there's maybe 60. It's 60.
I have a question, but if the
Sure.
system is what it is, if you're gonna be timing in or clocking or whatever, and you still have to print out what our thing is, and still enter it by hand, what good is it? I mean, if it's an interface that will, okay, here's everybody's time on this time clock and it relates to a system that is part of the payroll or whatever, you know what I'm saying there, I mean, but if she has to print them out, what's the difference if she's printing them out or we're writing them out?
I think
She
it
still
is,
has to enter it by hand if that be the case.
I think this takes care of the,
Yeah, it
It's
just goes
avoid-
straight
but
Yeah.
yeah, so
into the
it's-
system.
it is less work.
Yeah.
The issue with road crew is that, yeah, it's just the having to be there in the shop and put their thumb on it.
Yeah, it goes straight into their, my understanding, straight into their payroll system. And then there is no of the printing and adjusting by hand. Adjustments would be made by your department head, like if you came in and said, oh, I actually stayed longer than, or I left earlier.
Out or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yes, then it's your department head's responsibility, just like it is now, to make sure that those timesheets are correct. It doesn't fall on the clerk and recorder's office. It falls on your department head to ensure that those are accurate.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just say, if Carol wanted to, she.
And Judge Crosby, I'm here on her behalf too, and she has. Either way, she doesn't matter, and I don't care, whatever. Everybody else decides.
Yeah, I'm with you there, you can work with the new system or keep with the old.
I think it should be universal, though. I mean, not just the court.
I moved to table.
Table. Well, we have to give the
Their
vendor
response, yeah, they're waiting.
a decision whether or not we're going
Can-
forward.
Can they wait a couple weeks for Becky to get back? Or do you need to have, or maybe you don't need to know more?
Here's the only thing, the road says no,
Yeah,
and I'm saying, I think we have to be 100% compliant. I also think that your devil's advocate opinion is understandable too. I wouldn't want people to feel that, okay, you're watching me, we have Big Brother watching over me and it's not right. Like you're saying, department heads, yeah, department heads. I think right now. I think we need to just say,
Okay, I moved to say no.
I
look
think
into
we're gonna have
potentially
to.
selling it, or if we can
And if
be.
we can sell it, sell it. And unfortunately, things like this do happen when, well, look at like Merlin,
Mhm.
a big. And bunched it and new one coming in that's, we're gonna have to take the hit and. And just lose, because it was. From my understanding, it was kind of purchased before we even had our roundtable discussion before, so unfortunately. We jumped the gun a little bit, and I think right now until. Maybe there's something else out there, we need to, you say no. I second it, is there any public comment? Being none, okay, all in favor? So Billy, I guess get a hold of the vendor and say,
I will, and I'll see if maybe we can sell it back to
yeah,
them.
see if we can sell it back to them. And say, right at this time, there's been two, well, you know what to say.
Yeah. I'll CC you guys on it.
And
Sorry,
that could be
guys.
an agenda item, once you, that, yeah, agree
Get a
upon.
price.
now.
Okay.
Anyway,
Thanks.
good thought, good ideas. And I know it's gotta be easier to like go into your phone and put your time in and then just send it without doing anything.
Are we adjourned?
Say,
Are we adjourned?
That
Adjourned?
was the last agenda item, so. At 11:45, we are adjourned.